Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today at Juanette's Crafting Corner. Before I start, I would like to thank a couple of people for their support and lovely comments. Maurice, who lives in France, and also Sonia, and I'm not quite sure where Sonia lives, but I know it's a different country. But anyway, thank you for your support and your lovely comments. So in today's video, we are going to be making a new planner. I needed a new planner for my work schedule, and so I made this. Now the cover is fabric, and I'm going to show you how I decoupage that. My binding is Midori style, so you're able to take out your pages. So once I'm done with this part of the schedule, I can just print up some more scheduling pages and add them to here. I didn't decorate it quite as much as I did my other planner because when I finished using that planner, I realized there was a lot of pages that and pockets that I didn't put anything in or pull them out. Now I did put a little pocket there because I do keep a copy of my schedule for work in there of the other staff members, just so I can know who I'm working with. And then I do have a couple of empty pages here, and then my work schedule. And then I did do some pretty decorative paper in the middle of each signature. There are 3 signatures here. And, you know, like I said, I only did a couple of flip outs and little pockets so that I could have some scratch paper to write things on. I'm going to glue that down. That was a sticker. But anyway, so thank you for joining me. I did also make this little pencil holder here, so I always have a pencil. And so let's get started. Okay, you guys saw me make this planner with my schedule, but I'm at the end. It only goes till the end of September, 1st of October, so I need to make a new one. And I've decided to do more of a purple color. This was leftover material from my fairy journal, and it measures 14 inches by 8 inches. And you've seen me do this before, where I take half strength Mod Podge and water. So you put like half a cup of Mod Podge and a half a cup of water. It thins it out, and we're going to start making our cover for the planner. So what I do is I lay down a piece of plastic. I believe I used it back when I was a quilter. And I first start laying down my glue. And I kind of saturate it because I want the tissue paper to stick. And what I've decided to do is mostly do some purples, but I've also done some blues. So my first layer is always just white tissue paper. And we'll be trimming this down, so if it goes over the edge, it's no big deal. So I hope everyone is doing well. I went back to work You've heard me say before, I'm a labor and delivery nurse, and I had good shifts. They weren't real busy, which was very nice. Always good to not be crazy busy when you go back. So that's my first layer. And I'm not quite sure how many layers I'm going to do yet. We'll see. But that's one. Then again, just another white one. And this is just plain white tissue paper. I buy it at Costco. You see, I've gone over the edge, but like I said, I'm going to be trimming this down, so it's no problem. You can also use the back of napkins. What I'm going to be doing to put over the top of this as my decoration is a piece of Stamperia decoupage paper. Let's see, where did I put it? So I can show you which one it is. It's this one, Stamperia Carta di Riso. I think that's the one. Anyway, it was wisteria plant. So lots of purple in it, a little bit of green. So I want to tell you a story about my life as a nurse. And I have to tell you this one story. This is why being a nurse is such a blessing. Now, it was a while back. There was a little gal that I believe she had tried to have an abortion by taking some pills to cause contractions. And she was 19, wasn't married, and obviously did not want her baby. She was admitted to the OB department because she had to have a D&C, which is kind of cleaning out the uterus to try to help stop bleeding. If tissue or anything like that is left in the uterus after a miscarriage or even a delivery, a woman is going to bleed more. So she was admitted to the OB department, and I came on shift, and she was so distraught. She first said, I just want to leave, I just want to leave. And then, no, I don't know what to do. And nobody's being supportive of me. My family's not being supportive. And I've asked for a priest, but a priest hasn't come. And oh, she was just a mess. I felt so bad for her. So you guys know I'm older. I'm 67. So I put on my little grandmotherly, motherly hat and called her by name and said, well, let's have a little talk here. Let's visit. So I sat down on her bedside and held her hand and said, tell me what's going on. What can I help you with to make you not be so scared and nervous? And she said again, I asked for a priest and I haven't had a priest. And I said, well, honey, it's Saturday night and we don't have a priest or a chaplain here in the hospital. But I go to church and I'm a Christian. And if you would like me to pray with you, I would be more than happy to do that. Now, in my whole career, I could probably count on one hand the times I've actually said a prayer with a patient. And I've been a nurse 46 years, so it's not very often. Like I've said, I could probably count 5 times in my whole career that I've done that. But, you know, sometimes you just get the feeling that's okay, that's appropriate. And she said, oh, would you? Oh, I would appreciate that so much. So we bowed our heads, and I said a prayer for her, mostly a prayer of comfort. And when I finished, she was a completely different little girl laying in that bed. She was calm. She was rational. She then said, yeah, I think I can go home. Her surgery had gone well, and she wasn't bleeding much, so there was no reason why she couldn't go home. Other than she did not tell her family why she was in the hospital and didn't want them to know. So I gathered up her discharge paperwork and took out her IV and what have you. And when that little girl stood up to leave, she wrapped both arms around my waist. I think she was probably 5'2", so, and I'm 5'7". I'm gonna tear some more tissue paper. Sorry for the noise, guys. Let me just tear it real quick, and then I'll continue with the story. I thought I had enough, but I guess not. So see, you just tear it. It's not a big deal if it's not perfect. So anyway, like I said, when she stood up to leave, she wrapped both arms around my waist and laid her head on my chest and just sobbed. And it has been times like that in my career that I felt like it has been such a blessing to me to be a nurse. I firmly believe it was my calling. I knew I wanted to be a nurse when I was, I think, about 13 years old. I actually went to the hospital that was in my hometown, and I asked the director of nurses if they had candy stripers there, and she said, no, honey, our hospital is just too small for candy stripers, but if you'll come back when you're 16, I'll hire you as a nurse's aide. Well, literally, on my 16th birthday, I went to the hospital, and I said, and I'll never forget the director of nurses' name. She was a friend of my parents, and I said, Mrs. Marotti, I'm Juanette Hewitt. Do you remember me? You said you would hire me when I turned 16. And she said, I sure do remember you. Yes, I'll hire you. And so I started working in hospitals when I was only 16 years old. So, like I said, I feel like it's been a calling and such a blessing to be able to touch people's lives. I've got so many stories, and one of these days I'm going to make a nursing journal and write all these stories down, because there are some that are just, they're just so special, and that little girl was one of them. Okay, so now I feel like I've got more than enough of the white paper down. So now I'm going to add, I think I'm going to add, oops, sorry. I'm going to start adding some purple in here. So in the comments section, tell me about your career. Tell me what you do for a living, and do you feel like it was a calling in your life that that you've been blessed with? You know, one of the blessings is in my entire life, I've never been without a job. Back in the day, when you first became a nurse, it's a little bit harder now, but if you walked into a hospital and said, I'm a nurse, do you have a position for me? They'd say, can you start tomorrow? It's a little bit more difficult now. A lot of it is requirements for bachelor's degrees and master's degrees and stuff like that. So let's see here. I think, so I wanted this up toward the top. So I'm going to just lay that there. Oh, I think I was supposed to do it the other way, the long way, the width way. Oh, rats. Oh, well. We'll manage here. Dang it. I hate when I do that. Ah! I got to figure something else out here. Oh, well, we'll manage. So what I will do is I will just set this somewhere and let it dry. This is, I think, did I show you that? I can't remember. This is some tissue paper that I bought from, it's called the Paper Source, and it's really not tissue paper in the respect of what we're used to as far as tissue paper. It is more of the mulberry paper, but I thought the colors went well. So I'm going to add a little bit of that. Oops, it's moving around on me. Boy, I sure wish I had more of that paper like that. I've got a little bit more purple. Yeah, I should have. But you know what? That's going to be the middle of the planner, so I guess it really doesn't matter if it's not completely perfect with that other paper. Boy, that soaks that up. That's fantastic. That's going to really give that a lot of nice strength. I think I'm going to grab a little bit more of that. And the thing of it is, it does not tear. I had to cut it because it's just so much strength in it. So let me just cut a couple of little pieces here. Put one there. And I'm going to grab some blue. This is going everywhere. Maybe I'll put over here. Yeah, that really soaks up the glue. But that's all right. That will just give it lots and lots of strength. So anyway, I will just put this aside and let it dry, and I will be back with you guys. I will show you what the final cover looks like, and we'll go from there. So now my cover has dried, and I'm quite pleased with it. So now I'm going to just take a pair of scissors and cut away the excess. So I'm using my fabric as a guide because I cut that with a rotary cutter on a self-healing mat. So it is perfectly straight. And these scissors that I have are specially marked for cutting plastic. I don't want to use my good scissors that I use on paper, so. It's quite sturdy. It dried overnight. There we go. And then I'm going to take, let's see how the edges feel. They're a little bit rough, so I'm just going to take a nail file and just run it across a little bit just to make sure that those edges are nice and smooth. And then the next thing I do to waterproof it is I use the Tim Holtz Distress Microglaze. And I looked this up just to see exactly what it says. It does, because I wanted to know. It says it's the perfect water-resistant sealer for craft projects. So you just apply it with your finger. The other thing that I've noticed it does is it smooths out any rough surfaces. And I think I've said this before in my videos, it does not leave a greasy film to your project, so that's really nice. And then now let's turn over the other side. And put some of this down here. Then I'm going to set this aside for a little bit and let that kind of just soak in while I prepare my papers. I believe I'm going to do a Midori style binding on this because it will help, because it is my daily planner for work, and maybe if I do the Midori style I won't have to make another one, although that's not a problem usually for us journalers. We like making new stuff, and it's kind of nice that this is a new color. So I'm going to set this aside to dry, and we'll go from there. So like I said, I want to do the binding, the Midori style, and my friend Ivy, thank you Ivy, sent me this little travel journal. And so I'm going to just follow what they've done here to be able to have my signatures be able to slide in and out. So I measured this. This is 2 inches. It's going to work beautiful. I folded up my outside cover in half. And then I want 1 inch on both sides from there. So I'm going to just place this in the little 6-inch mark where the halfway mark is. So see, halfway there, go all the way down, and I'm going to score at 5 inches, which gives me, oh, it's kind of going off. I got to be careful here. Stay right in the groove. Hopefully I am. Is that the 5-inch mark? I hope it is. If not, we can just rescore. Let me see here, the 5. Seems like I went off track a little bit. I did, didn't I? Okay, I think that's it. And then again, from the 6-inch mark, I'm going to go over to 7 inches. And what I probably should have done is mark it, see, because I'm going askew there. Let's try to stay in the... Oh, there I'm going askew again. It's not like it's paper where it can follow the groove well. I think I got it there. We'll see. We'll see if that folds up and still is even. Oh yeah, I think that's going to be okay. And just take your bone folder and spread that out. Crease that down really well. And then I'm going to take, so that's 7 inches. This is 6 inches. And now this one will be 5 inches. I'm just going to fold it over and then make sure that that's even. Just like that. And then use that bone folder to really crease that down. And so then I will mark with my crocodile 3 holes in the middle of each section, and then put the eyelets in there. And I'm going to do that off camera. You guys have seen me do that before. That's how that's going to be. Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah. And then I'll have more than enough room to put things in it. So, like I said, I'm going to mark here 3 areas, put my eyelets, and proceed from there. So I thought I would just show you real quick for those that maybe don't know. This is called the crocodile, and I prefer this one. I've got a, you know, the smaller one, but and it's okay for just small little projects, but this is fantastic for big journals because your paper or your journal cover can fit all the way back here, so it gives you a lot of room. So if you put your dial back here, if you can see that little thing come down, that will punch that size hole. Okay, then if you move it up, that was the 3/16. This is the 1/8. You look again, see that little thing? So now that is punching a smaller hole. And then if you move it all the way up here, then this will set your eyelet. And you rotate these to depending on the size of the eyelet. So this, I use the larger hole. So you see that one, I use that, the silver. It will set your eyelet very well. So it's not that hard to do. And so let me show you now the cover. So see, I've got my 3 eyelets there with the holes, just like I do here. And then the 3 in the bottom. So I'm gonna go pull out some elastic band and thread that through. So I have threaded my elastic cord, and I've made it on purpose quite tight, just because I've made a Midori style journal before and the papers didn't stay in real good, but I do want this to stay flat. I'm not going to cut this part off yet until I see if it works. But all I did was come up through here and then around and then over there, back down, around again, and up and through, and then ended up both double through here and tied the knot. Now I cut a piece of cardboard here that I'm gonna lay in here and glue it down, and that will help keep that flat. But I want to cover it so it looks nice. So I've cut a piece of, this was from the fairy journal, a little bit of leftover paper. And so I'm going to glue it so that I have a nice cover over this piece that will give the spine a lot of strength. And then what I'm going to do is just like what I've done before for the corners of my journal covers, is I take this mitering tool so that it gives me a nice mitered edge, and I just lay it there so I know where to cut to remove some of the bulk. So that it glues down better. So I just snip those off. And then bring it in, fold it so that it'll go around nicely around the cardboard itself. Take my bone folder. And since this cardstock is quite thick, I'm probably, while it dries, I'm going to need to put some clips on it, which I have right here. So just add a little bit of glue here. We're just going to add glue on all 4 sides. And this side here that I'm putting glue on, this will be what goes down on the inside of that spine. So that will also help these edges stay down, is because it's going to actually be glued. Oops. So I'm just going to fold those in. And then just take some clips here so it holds it down. See how nice that is? It really does hold it down until that glue dries. These little blue ones, turquoise ones, I got from my friend Ivy over at Ivy's Crafty Cabin, Shabby Craft Cabin. I do that every time, Miss Ivy. Check out her YouTube channel. She does a lot of fantastic stuff with lace and, oh, she's just, she's just, you could tell she's just a really nice person. So what I'm going to do is set this aside and let it dry for a little bit, and then I'll be back with you guys. Okay, my glue is glued down, but you see how my paper cracked a little bit? So we're just going to distress that. I might even just take some purple, some Highland Heather ink, and put it in there and see. You're hardly going to see that because of the pages itself. But let's just pull some light Highland Heather out and cover that up a little bit. Whoops. And I should actually, what I'm going to do is glue that down. Yeah, I think I'm going to put some art glitter glue there and glue that down, because I know this will catch quickly and dry. And I'm just going to hold it in place for just a little bit. Do you see how quickly that caught? You guys know I'm a big, huge fan of Beacon's 3-in-1 glue, but it doesn't dry quite as quickly as the art glitter glue. Look at the difference there. You can hardly notice that. And so now I'm going to glue it in here to help hold this down. And I will use, see, if I hold that down like that and glue it down, it will also make these even tighter. But it will give the spine support. I just need to make sure that I'm able to fold over both sides. So I should have done that before I put these in, but oh well, such is life. I am going to use my beacons for this though. Even though it doesn't catch quite as fast, the nice thing about my beacons is it gives me wiggle room to adjust it to the right spot. So let's put a fair amount there. If you guys don't know this, if your beacons glue gets a little bit too thick and won't come out nicely like this is coming out, you just add, oh, I don't know, maybe a teaspoon or so of pure acetone, and that's the one you use to take off your nail polish from your nails, and shake it up in the bottle, and it will thin it out enough to where it will it will, oops, I don't want glue there. It will come out easier. Sorry, I can't, obviously I can't think and speak and glue at the same time. Okay, I'm just gonna hold that down for just a minute and then I might put some clips on it. As a matter of fact, I can put clips on it. Pull that little bit out there. But like I said, I do want to make sure that I'm able to fold this over. And even though this is 2 inches between there, I did this 1 inch and 3/4. Let's use these big ones here. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry. So to assist with this cardboard spine gluing down, I just added a bunch of books on top of it. And then now we're gonna pull the clips off. And you see how nice that lays flat now? And it gives us a really nice spine there. I have taken a piece of cardstock, cut it to the height, and this is about 2 inches, and then I have 1 inch on each side. Again, my fingers, I've been avocado dyeing paper, so they're pinkish. But anyway, that's beside the point. So I'm going to glue this down. And it will also make the spine look a little prettier. I was going to put some decorations on it anyway. I'm going to pull some of these paper clips in. I need to make sure that that's all the way glued down in the middle here. Grab another one. There we go. I ordered these paper clips off of Amazon. Just look for extra large paper clips and they should come up. I keep running out back and forth outside because I'm also avocado dyeing paper and coffee dyeing paper, and there just sometimes is not enough hours in the day to do all the crafting we want to do, is there? Now if I can bend it. Oh shoot, look at that. So that's okay. It just means I need to glue that down a little bit better. So I'll put more glue underneath there. The other thing I could do is, I think I'm going to sew down there. So I think I'm going to just take my sewing machine and run down both of these sides and and then I don't have to worry about the glue. So I'll show you when I come back. So now that is very sturdy, adding that piece of cardstock there, sewing it down. It's really nice. And I used my corner rounder to round off the corners here. And then what I thought I would do for the closure is just like this one. I really like this closure. It's just a piece of sari silk and it wraps around with a little charm. And it's just very quick to open up and close. So I've pulled out a button from my collection of buttons, and I thought that was pretty. And then I've pulled out my sari silks, and I went through them. I keep them by color in these little bags. And I believe I got this from Steph Francis, and it's a combination of the colors. So I thought that would be nice. So what I'm going to do is, and all I do to sew this on is just like you would any button, is in and out with some probably beige thread. I'm going to sew that on there, and then I'm going to glue the sari silk only on the inside back cover. And actually what I might do is sew it on so that it's really secure, but I will sew it on here, and then that way I can pull it around, and I'll just make sure that I have enough length to wrap around the button a couple of times. So that's my next step. So I've sewed my sari silk down, and I thought I would show you a little trick for sewing into something like this that's very sturdy. So I aligned my button where I want it to go, and then you could either take your awl or your pokey tool. We'll see if this pokey tool, yeah, it's gonna work. And I just go ahead and poke some holes where the thread will need to go, and then that way I'm not struggling with the needle. So I'll just come up one of the holes and lay the button there and bring it all the way through. And then just kind of look down and hold it in the place where it needs to go. And I'm going to do this as a crisscross. Okay, where's that hole at? Okay, it's right there. So I recently taught my grandchildren how to sew on a button. They are homeschooled, and I was babysitting them. I think maybe I've told you this guy already. But anyway, I was babysitting them, and for home ec, remember we used to have home ec, and for their home ec lesson, I taught them how to sew on a button. Okay, so I'm going to finish sewing this, and I'll be back with you guys in just a minute. I don't want you to have to watch me go in and out with this sewing. So I have finished off the planner. What I did is I took one of the Tim Holtz little metal things, and I sewed it on the end of this Sari silk. I added some of this from Steph Francis just to give a little decor, and then I glued this woman on the front of it. So that's basically the planner, and thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it, and let me know if you make one, or if you have any questions. I'd be more than happy to help you out with it. Thanks, you guys. Bye.